Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Q&A video after reaching 1,000 subscribers, woo, etc, etc. I actually got an email from YouTube, inverted commas, saying, oh, we always knew you'd get 1,000 subscribers. Really, YouTube? Really? Like, is there anyone at YouTube who actually knows I exist? I'd be surprised, I really would. But I got all your questions, and I've written them out on cards, and apart from one question, shuffled them all up, and on one side there is the question, on the other side I did a bit of digging for answers, or thinking about answers. I'm not sure, I don't think I'm going to just flip over the card and go, this is my answer, flip over the card, this is my answer. I'm going to kind of try and think, so I may end up coming with different answers to what I've written down. But if I end up going, oh, I don't know, then I can just flip over the card. That was my reason. In the background is a video game. I don't know what it is. I haven't decided yet. I'm recording this, and then I'm probably going to think of a game that I can put in the background. I don't know. I've got an idea of what I might do, but something else might come to me, and I might do something else. Who knows? I don't know, but I've managed to babble for a minute and a half, and haven't even answered a question yet. So let us begin with answering questions. Who inspired you to start YouTube? So a couple of people asked this one, and it's Variax. Let's just say Variax, because it's true. It's pretty much Variax. I'm all his fault. So blame him. You can tell, actually, I think we're quite similar. We're both rather inefficient, ineffectual, rubbish at stealth. British. Not that any of those things are peculiarly British. Never mind. But I don't know. It's the red jackets. Not particularly good for stealth. They're not. I don't. You can understand the kind of change to camo and kind of khakis and whatever, rather than the bright red coats. I assume that's probably got more of a morale effect than anything. What is your favourite kind of music? I don't really have a kind of music I particularly like. I like songs. I like singing. Yeah, I've done that for a church talent show. So I kind of like songs. I actually, this is one I had to write down. I looked at kind of the iTunes most listened to on my iTunes. And the basic things are like Evanescence. That's quite a bit up there. WWE entrance themes, WWE. Some of them are really good. Some of the songs they come out to are good. Songs from Les Miserables, particularly Javert's stuff like Stars and Soliloquy or Javert's Suicide, both brilliant songs, butchered by Russell Crowe, who was recruited principally for star power. And let's not rant too much about things. Disney, because something happy has to be on this, and various kind of soundtracks from films and games. Actually, the Valiant Hearts has got a brilliant soundtrack. It's really good music to it. I also have gotten the Assassin's Creed 4 kind of soundtrack that's got all of the that's got a lot of the shanties in. That's kind of fun to listen to. Although I don't think it's not reached that far, because it's only a relatively new thing I've bought. Kind of with, I think, parts of Assassin's Creed 4. Really sad thing, it doesn't have Parting Glass. That's a really good song. They could have tagged that in. It's really frustrating not to have that. Okay, what game world would you want to enter permanently? No pansy games. Apparently has to be something dangerous. I'm assuming then I can't go something like the world from Assassin's Creed. Guessing I can't do stuff like that, or Sherlock Holmes, and do kind of real life stuff. I assume it has to be something kind of different, something, I don't want to say alien, but foreign, kind of something distinct and not real. Um, have I got any games that jump out to me? Most of the games I've got on my computer are set in the real world, or they're board games, and so they probably wouldn't be acceptable. Trying to think. I quite like the Dragon Age world actually. Um, Admittedly, having ruled out real life and the real world, I pick a game world which is very similar, just with magic. Um, but I think all of the good thinking about it, all of the good fantasy games are basically the real world of a medieval time of a medieval time with twists. Um, I think so. Dragon Age. I mean, you've got the danger. You've got Darkspawn coming up. You've got Wanton Civil Wars. I mean, Civil Wars are in the first game and in Origins and in Inquisition. You've got the Darkspawn in 1 and 2, in Origins and 2. Um, you've got all kinds of different problems going on. So I think Dragon Age qualifies for dangerous, and seems to be loads of cool people as well. I don't think you'd actually get to meet like any of the main characters or any of the characters and companions, but like in general, even the NPCs seem kind of the other NPCs, the other people so far away from the land of companionship. They seem kind of decent people, kind of fun to spend time with. Speaking of fun, if a sandwich spread were a Dark Souls boss, which would it be and why? Um, some of you guys are mad. Well, if you're subscribed to me, all of you guys are mad. I don't actually have sandwiches that often. And I don't play Dark Souls. My only real experience of Dark Souls is watching Variax play it. Um, and everyone laughing at him when he fails and ignoring the stream, and people ignoring the stream when he succeeds. Um, uh, I'm trying to think of something that's kind of odd. I don't want to say Marmite, because some people like the Dark Souls bosses, some people don't. I've never had Marmite, but it's one of those. It's entered almost the cultural zeitgeist in Britain. I don't know if anyone else, if any other country has Marmite, but Marmite is known for being very divisive. You either love it or you hate it, and there's no neutral ground unless you haven't had it. I don't think have I ever had it? I don't think so. So it's kind of it's used as a reference point. Oh, that's a Marmite thing or a Marmite moment or whatever, as a kind of. Certainly, I've heard it. I don't know if anyone else has. So I'm actually going to look at my notes for the note I've put for this, which is peanut butter and jelly. So I have to put why as well. So the reasoning behind this is, for me as a British person, the idea of peanut butter and jelly doesn't sound right because of a weird translation-y thing. It's a bit of a weird combination when you think about it. I would point to a dragon that is a mouth with legs. Apparently that's a dragon. And yet, people really do seem to enjoy it. So that's my peanut butter and jelly, or peanut butter and jam, if we're speaking properly. But as it's an American invention, we're probably allowed not to. The America bashing begins. And I know what some of these other questions are. If you were to win $10 million, what would you do with it? Well, I think first thing I do, if I'm going to spend it, because I'm not allowed to give it to charity. I can't give it to charity. First thing is change it to pounds, obviously. Because then I can spend it. I'm not making any criticism of dollars. Very soon the exchange rate's going to be 1-to-1 anyway, so there's no real criticism I can make at level at that point. Let's make political commentary. Yeah. What would I do with it? Buy a house. A house would be nice. I still live with my parents due to various kind of issues with employment and not being able to find anything. So buy a house, possibly. Part of me would want to get a lawyer and talk to them about the concept of talking to them about copyright and YouTube, because I'm fairly sure that there's some issues with the YouTube Content ID system applying American law across the board, from other judicial perspectives, because I'm not sure, because American law does not have jurisdiction in other countries, and there's no international agreement on how copyright law should be applied. It's a really weird issue, and the more the internet grows, and the more YouTube starts applying it in such a way, it starts to raise the question of, do we need an international agreement on copyright? And we do. So I might spend some of the money on that. I don't really spend money that much. I might get a new computer. This one sometimes whirs at me really badly. It's recently been doing a weird thing where it's just it just stops communicating completely with the monitor, with monitors, because I've got two now. Main reason for that was streaming. We'll get to that later. So I don't know. I might get a new computer. I mean, I'm sure that's going to be a lot of the $10 million. I don't know. I don't know what I'd do with it all. I don't know. Maybe go. Oh, I could go around the world. Yeah, I could spend the money to do that. That's brilliant. I'd love to go around the world. I don't know how I'd do it. That's the thing. I'd want to go on the Orient Express. I'd also kind of like to go on the Trans-Siberian Railway. So if you link up, so you go on the Orient Express. Now there's two options. If you go on the Venice-Simplon route, then that takes you to Venice, obviously, via Simplon, in case you weren't paying attention. However, it is possible to get the original route still being done. They do it once a year, and you get to Istanbul. So from Istanbul, you could head up across the Black Sea, probably, and then up to Moscow, and then the Trans-Siberian Railway. The issue then is, do you fly across the Pacific, or do you get a boat across? Now, the problem with the boats is that the only ones you can really use are like freight, so like container ships. So things. I think about this way too much. I'd love to do it, but it will cost an awful lot. It's also an idea I have for a kind of let's play challengey type video series is going around the world using video games. I don't know if you can do it though. The Pacific really messes with you. And the idea would be to start in London, play a little bit. I'll get to the next question in a moment. You start in London and you play as much of the next game as you want, or until you die. Play a game that starts in that location and keep bounce along, game by game, until you get back to London. And of course, we're starting in London because Around the World in 80 Days started in London. It'd probably actually be more practical to start in Paris, because then you can do stuff with the Broken Sword series. The issue is that, the big issue I think would occur is the Pacific. I mean, unless you go... I mean, if you go... I don't know. I think the Pacific's the big issue for that. Okay, where does your name come from? Yes, we're moving on to a new question. I know it's weird. Where does my name come from? Where does my name come from? I'm trying to actually rewind in my head how it came about. I know that I'm dragged to 16 because I had to set up an account. I was 16. It demanded I put a number in, so I put 16 as the number. So that's how the 16 came about. Where did Dragonster come from? I think one of the first accounts I set up. I'm trying to remember. This might be completely apocryphal and didn't happen at all. But I think one of the first accounts I set up said put together two of your favorite things. So two of your favorite animals or something. I can't remember. No, wouldn't have been animals. But I went with Wolf Dragon. And it wouldn't let me do that. It suggested Wolf Dragonster. Ster. Hence what I have. Indeed, actually, if you go back to my first video of Let's Play Ghostmaster, I call it I call Wolf Dragonster, because I was originally going to change my YouTube account to call it Wolf Dragonster, because there's another guy called Dragonster who did videos. He's around. I think he's German. I don't know if he's still around. He wasn't doing stuff while I was looking at starting. And so I was thinking, I'll change to Wolf Dragonster, then there's no way of people crossing us. But like, as I went to other places, I just stopped using the wolf. And then I came to a website that proposed 16. Was that something on Hotmail? It may have been Hotmail. On an account I no longer use. So Dragonster 16, and then starting YouTube, it just made sense to use it again. So there we go. I know who gave this one. I've not actually written the names on these questions, so I apologise. How's life being the inferior creature? Hi, American Dave. Well, I mean, yeah, it's painful. Obviously, it hurts to be British and yet be the inferior creature. It is such a rare occurrence in our culture, in our country. However, I think it's rather clear that as a Briton, I do have, while I may be inferior in other ways, I do indeed have the superior accent. Also, I'm not Dave. British Not Dave is a Twitch name. No, I saw what happened to Vanguard. I don't want to do that. Do you accept... Variax sent a host of people to ask questions. So if I make reference back to other people and stuff from Variax's streams, bear with me. Do you accept friend requests on stream? I don't... On stream? On Steam? Steam, that one. Steam. The Valve thing. Not really. I don't really do friends. I don't really use it in a social way. I don't really check on my other friends, but like my actual friends on there, and Variax. Quote 10. Again, Variax references. It's alright. Just turn up to one of Variax's streams. They're really fun. I don't really accept friend requests unless I kind of need to for something. But that's just me. Like I've got, I don't even know how many friends I actually got on there. But I don't really interact with people on Steam that much anyway, so it wouldn't be meaningful for me to add people, and they wouldn't really have a separate thing that'd be special to it, so I just don't see the point. I'm very reticent to add people on other things, on other social media. Even when I'm dealing with people I know in real life, I'm very kind of reticent to add people anyway. I think I've got based on my real account, it's how many friends do I have on Facebook? It's like 30, 40, like that's it. And there's people who are like, I have 175,000. It's like, you don't know any of those people. What is your shoe size? My shoe size is my UK shoe size, which is apparently different to my US shoe size, is between 10 and 11, depending on the make. But, like my current shoes, the shoes I'm currently wearing, my slippers, they say 10 UK 10, US 11. I don't know why, but they're different sizes slightly. I don't know. Okay, speaking of Variax earlier on, being the person to inspire me to Let's Play, if you were to fight Variax in real life, what would you take as a trophy? Well, first of all, you're assuming I'd win. Secondly, it poses the question of is this a fight to the death, or is this a fight merely that I've won and he's still alive? Because those are two very different questions. Because if he's alive anyway, I think I'd want him to stay alive so he can Let's Play more. and know the shame of having been bested by me. Um, I don't know. Um, I think you've got to say if he's dead. If he's dead, then obviously you've got to say the head, um, which would still be quite weird, um, because it's a random head. Because there's very few videos of him with his face visible. He normally has his face, I'm sure. I don't think he puts it anywhere, like when he's Let's Playing or anything. Um, yeah, brain, shut up. But so I'd probably have his head, and next to it have his 100 subscriber special going round, which everyone should watch repeatedly. If alive, then I want him to be able to Let's Play, because of course he's a good Let's Player. You should go and check him out if you haven't already. So something that wouldn't really impinge his Let's Playing ability, probably. So it can't be anything like his hands or fingers or his head, really. Maybe a toe. I don't know. Because that means, because that means whenever he'd have to put on a sock or put on his shoes, he'd remember that he was beaten. Some of these questions are really weird, you guys. If another Assassin's Creed game was set in the UK, when should it be set? Some people have... It's an interesting question for me, but I think some people might find it kind of boringly normal. Now, so I know Syndicate... I think Syndicate's set in kind of the Victorian period, which sounds boring to me, because if you want to do something with the Industrial Revolution, it should be late 18th century, because I think that's when the Luddites were around, and they're wrecking all the machinery. So it seems kind of boring. Having said that, one thing... I've actually got 4 ideas. 4 ideas for this one. The first one is early 19th century, and the reason I say that is because Spencer Perceval was Prime Minister until 1812, when he was the first and only Prime Minister to have ever been assassinated in the UK. So you get to play with that. What's not to like? You get to deal with the Napoleonic War. You could go back and revisit Connor with the War of 1812. What's happening with Connor? You almost get to see kind of the outcome of the War of Independence from a different perspective. You get to see it from a British perspective. Grumble, grumble, grumble. During World War II, I say during World War II, in Britain, the home front. So you're not doing all the kind of standard running around shooting people, although you probably would. Instead, you're seeing things, you're seeing how absurd you're manipulating propaganda, building towards how they're going to start acting in kind of the modern day, in the kind of the real world, or the current time, the modern time, for the other games in the series. You get to see how these things are developing, which I think could be quite interesting. You've got the English Civil Wars, where you're dealing with the parliamentary issues versus the royalist issues. You can have Templars be on both sides. If you want to have a big moment of people signing paper, you could always go for the cruel necessity, to quote Oliver Cromwell, of the death warrant of Charles I. So you can see loads of different people there. But the issue with that is, for Americans, you're not really going to be able to sell that much on that bit of paper being signed. And the fourth option, which I think probably works the best, is the War of the Roses. And the reason I say that is because England and Wales were quite fractured. In theory, you had the Yorkists versus the Lancastrians, but different nobles had different factions around them, and they supported different people depending on who was giving them the best favours. So you kind of get that multifaceted side to it that could fit into something like similar to Assassin's Creed 2, the stuff with Ezio, where he's doing the city-states kind of battling. But everything's kind of doing its own thing. Everyone's doing their own, kind of has their own kind of agenda. And yes, you've got the assassins doing their thing, but everyone else is doing all kinds of different things. I think that could be quite good. Um, all those different options, all those different kind of ideas you could use there, which I think would be good. I don't know if they want to go that far back these days. I mean, they did an awful lot. Well, I say that they're doing Egypt next, aren't they? That's Assassin's Creed Origins. I don't know when the Chronicles are, when the various Chronicle games are. No. I know Russia's like 1917 at the start of the October Revolution. I think. Is it the October Revolution? The beginning of the Russian series? I think it's October Revolution. When you get apparently, when you get to 5 million subscribers, when high hopes, this fellow. Will you do a song to celebrate your success? Every day, bro. Well, I like singing. I've already mentioned this. So I could do a song at 5 million subscribers. I don't think I'd do one every day. I'd run out of songs. And I don't think I'm going to get 5 million. Or if I do, it's going to be very, very slow, and I might die before we reach then. Be very difficult for a dead man to sing, I suppose. Yeah, like in principle to the one song issue, but every day and singing when we hit 5 million, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm taking some of these far too seriously. What's your favourite PlayStation 1 game? Probably Spyro 2. That was an easy question. Spyro 2, Gateway to Glimmer. Ripto's Rage Ripto's Rage outside of Europe. I don't know why they changed it. Maybe like Rage is evil, Rage is bad and aggressive and I don't know. Maybe they were afraid that people in Europe would start trying to copy a purple dragon. You know, these Welsh people. Why the Welsh? Red dragon on the flag, I understand, but why picking on the Welsh? Would you ever roleplay games like Oblivion or Fallout? Well, I've done a playthrough of Oblivion where I did Knights of the Nine, which was kind of roleplayed. Fallout 1, I also kind of roleplayed. I think that's kind of one of the kind of fun things about doing a blind Let's Play, is you can't metagame it unless you start, unless you look up walkthroughs, which you shouldn't have to do for a game. But also, if you want to actually enjoy it for the story, which I do, is I love games with story. So you want to experience the story, you want it to be your kind of initial thing. I think that might be part of it. Part of that, in a way, is I'm playing it as me. I need to kind of stop doing that. But yeah, I often have ideas for characters stream through my head, and then they often end up falling apart with contact with the game because they don't work, or because they're stupid characters, kind of thing. But yeah, I've done Oblivion, I've done Skyrim, I've done Fallout 1, so I do try and stay in character. I'm not sure how good I am at them. Another random number one. I say random number. How old are you? It's not really that random. I am 27. There we go, I've given that information. I think the last time I just tried to dodge it. But yeah, I'm 27 at the moment. If you could... At the moment. I could try and work it out, but it'd take a bit of time for me to go. I'm 27 and a number of months. 27... Oh, I can't even... I'm 27. If you could have the career of a celebrity, who would you pick and why? I don't know. I like the idea of traveling. I haven't actually done that much traveling. I've never left Europe. I've been to a few places. I've been to Greece. I've been to the Black Forest. I've been to Italy. I think that's kind of it. But I've never left Europe, so I kind of like to travel, and I do like the idea of traveling around the world, as I've previously mentioned. So I do kind of like performing and acting. Uh, so I don't know, Michael Palin from the 1980s, 1990s, when he's doing his round the world stuff, and his big massive travel things. That'd be really cool. I started watching them again, thinking about this. I've also put actually what I've written down Nolan North kind of voice acting because, as previously mentioned, I am rather proud of my voice. I think I've got a good accent and a good voice for things, so I think I could be kind of good with that. I think I'd be good at it. To kind of explain the why, I'd be good at voice acting. You've mentioned streaming. I have in this video. Any ideas on when you would stream? Nope. No idea. I keep occasionally I'll be thinking like, oh, I could have streamed, or maybe I should start streaming on kind of a Saturday. I think it's like I don't want to do Mondays to Fridays, because if people live kind of particularly in America, Mondays to Fridays for me, I'd be starting about 7-8 p.m. GMT. And I think for some people that's kind of work and commute time. I don't know how far back New York is. I could look that up, but I won't. So I don't want to do Mondays to Fridays. I don't want to do Sundays, because then I'm clashing with Variax. And one, I think quite a few people watch Variax. And two, I want to watch Variax. So I don't want to kind of clash with Sundays. Especially there are some Sundays where there's kind of stuff in the evening at church anyway. So I wouldn't be able to kind of commit to it every week. I'd want to kind of make it a weekly thing. So that kind of leaves Saturday, and then I'm always kind of like, oh, I should do that. I don't know exactly about the etiquette of announcements, because I don't want to just do an announcement as in, I'm streaming right now, because that's not really an announcement. Whereas, so I kind of want to know, like, what is the etiquette of how much kind of time you should give for announcements? I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me like how much time you'd like for an announcement for streaming, and then I can kind of start thinking about those kinds of things a lot more, and kind of have a bit more information to work with in that regard. If you had 6 kids, that's not going to happen, and had to do a Let's Play with one, what age group? So I'm assuming you mean the age group of the kid. I'd probably say about 10, 11, because at that age they can kind of, it's a lot easier for them to communicate, because you don't want it to be too young. But I think anything that's kind of older, anything that's kind of younger than there is kind of a gimmick, where that's why people are watching the Let's Play. Whereas if they're older, it still seems a little. I don't know. I don't know why. I think that's probably the lower end, the 10, 11, where you've kind of got a little bit of the gimmick, but it's not so gimmicky. You've got 2 personalities. It depends. Like, if you want like 2 equal gamers, you'd probably want the teenager. Whereas if you want to kind of do it kind of like a mentor-student kind of role, you could do it with like a 10, 11-year-old. Mentor-student, like How to Train Your Dragonster, that kind of thing. Okay, what would you do if you replaced Donald Trump? So assuming like if I were... I think, well, I don't know. I don't know, because it's like fix America is a very vague concept. I mean, Fix Britain is an exceptionally vague idea that doesn't really have it. Like, I don't want to say fix America because it doesn't actually answer the question. And what would you do? I would do all of the things. Like, but what would you particularly do? So, I mean, kind of the big things that people seem to really complain about in America that I see, kind of issues about kind of healthcare, social healthcare, gun control seems to be kind of a big issue that loads of people are raising and thinking about. Um, Having a weird political system that doesn't make a huge amount of sense. I mean, ours is weird, but oh my goodness, the American one seems to be impenetrable at times. So, I mean, repeal the Declaration of Independence. Let's go with that, because if you want social healthcare, we've got it, the NHS. If you want gun control, there you go, we have it. I mean, guns aren't completely removed, but you have to be licensed. There's a lot more kind of control on it, and the political system isn't as convoluted. So there we go. We've fixed quite a few of America's issues and given it some more. Rebuild the British Empire. I look forward to that being taken out of context. Don't. It did horrible things. It did some good. It did some horrible things as well. Bits of that are going to be taken out of context, I'm sure. Would I ever do a pen and paper RPG? Moving on quickly. Stop talking about the Empire. Would I ever do a pen and paper RPG? Well, at university I did. For my first year, I was part of the role-playing game society, and played a game. We played the Temple of Elemental Evil. A part of it. We played the opening part. Once we kind of got into the temple, it hit this rut of that we kind of stopped enjoying as much, and it was the rut of check door for traps, unlock door, open door, have fight, loot room, heal, move out to corridor, find a new door. And it went on like this, and there wasn't a lot of kind of role-playing or problem-solving, so we kind of... and we started playing some other things later. But the next year... by next year, I think 2 people had joined different games, joined kind of different groups. 2 people had graduated, leaving me in the GM, or GM or DM in D&D. So that kind of fell apart. I recently played a game of Agneton, which is Variax's homebrew system. And that was fun. A few of us were like, "Oh, we'd do that again. That seemed fun." But obviously that kind of fits in with... That's based on his schedule and him doing things. I've got a load of books behind me that I could use if I were to run a game. What have I got? I've got Call of Cthulhu. I'm not turning around. I'm trying to do this from memory. The rules I have: I've got Call of Cthulhu, Pendragon, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay First and Second. I've got Aces and Eights, which is quite a weird setup, and I've got some of the second edition AD&D stuff. I've not got a huge amount. Let's go and check. Let's turn around and check. I also have 13th Age and Ars Magica. I've got those books. Ars Magica is, I think, 13th, 14th century Europe, but magic is real, and so you're kind of trying to hide it and everything, kind of thing. So there's that. I'd be happy to play any of those. I don't know how I'd set it up. I think that's kind of the issue, is kind of organising things has never been my strong suit. There's all kinds of different things. I mean, let's have a look. Have I missed anything? No, I just got loads of different adventures up there and published stuff that I'd probably kind of cannibalize into some kind of thing if I were to do anything. You play a lot of RPGs and puzzles. What is your favourite of the genre? I don't really think in terms of genre when it comes to kind of mechanisms. I think about story. Does this tell a good story? Is this an interesting game? I think that's why I like some of the Assassin's Creeds, because they often have an interesting story behind them. I like some strategy games when they've got kind of a good story to them. I like city builders to an extent. Because you're kind of building up the city, you're seeing the story, the history of your town develop, which I do really quite like. Again, it's that story, it's that idea of history and stories kind of developing. I think that's why I quite like Tropico 5 actually for that, because you actually do see time develop and build. The problem with a successful city in many of these games is it stagnates. Is you don't really want to touch anything central. You just tinker around the edges. And even then, you don't see the kind of organic development you've seen that a lot of cities have had, of kind of starting as a very small kind of town and building the town up, and then actually this expands because this is a really important place, or this is a really profitable place, and it builds up. I'd really like to see something like that, thinking about it. But yes, kind of anything with a good story is kind of my thing, that I enjoy. Right. Appropriate for a last question, I suppose. If you were to die an accidental death, how would you want to go? I'd kind of want it to be very quick and painless, or relatively painless, as much as we can. So I think probably something like one blow to the head. I mean, if they hit you in the right place, that's it. In fact, I'd probably like. I don't know why. I like reading, so I kind of maybe a book. Maybe like a book falls off the shelf and kind of hits me on the back of the head, and then dum. I mean, that could be it. That's a good way to go, quite possibly. Someone's now planning on arranging that accident, I'm sure. Yeah, I think that's probably a good one. In the kind of instantaneous, the quickness of it all. Which I think is probably what you want in that kind of situation, I suppose. Yeah, so there we go. I got through all the questions, including the weird ones. So, so I hope that you will join me for the voted on Let's Play. I'm still leaving a bit of time for it, because I haven't started recording it yet. So it's still being recorded. It will probably be recorded. I don't know when am I going to upload this. I will probably try and upload this early on Saturday. So earlier on Saturday than I normally upload. And I will probably record Saturday evening my time. So you've still got some time to throw out some games if you're absolutely desperate for me to do something in particular. So yes, thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching.